Hey there, Abiding fam, and welcome back to my Abiding Journal. This is a really exciting video because we're going to do a flip through, and it's been a long time since we've done a flip through of one of my journals. Now, you might be able to tell by the fact that it's not super chunky that we're not doing an entire flip through because I haven't yet completed this insert. What I decided I would do for this year is do flip throughs at the end of every quarter. So we're a little bit beyond the first quarter, so January, February, March, but those are the months of journaling that I'm going to be sharing with you, and also sharing with you my initial setup for my journal as well. So this is my journal. It is a catch-all journal, but mostly memory keeping, as you're gonna see. And this cover I have to mention first because if you are new to my channel, then you might not have heard me talk about my absolute love and adoration for Documented Journey and her gorgeous covers that she makes out of cork. This is a vegan, amazing, cleanable, just awesome material. It feels like velvet. This is the wheat cork that she has. And what I love about it is that you can get different patterns. So this one here is called Evening Rain, and I have that on the spine. And then I also have it on the interior pockets where you can either stick the journal cover into those, or you can use them as pockets for stickers and things like that. But she makes the most gorgeous covers ever in all different sizes. My personal journal is the extra large Moleskine Cahier journal notebooks, and she is the only one that I know of who makes journal covers this large. So if you do work in a larger notebook, she has this available for you. And she also makes smaller ones as well if you're in an A5 or a B6 or a smaller, whatever you're using. She probably has a size that she can do because she makes them all by hand. And I just wanted to give her a shout out because she does fantastic work. And I have a coupon code for our community if you're interested in checking out her amazing covers. The coupon code is AbidingJournal10, and you can use the link in the description to check her out and get your own cover. But I did want to talk about that before we jump in. So first page is actually starting with December, and I already did a flip through in my last flip through when I finished up 2021. I flipped through these first few pages. I decided that I was not going to start a new journal for 2022 because I had just started this journal for the end of 2021. And so we are just going to be sustainable and continue off where we landed before. So I ended on my 2021 reads review page. I have a video all about how I made this bookshelf for my 2021 reads. So if you want to learn more about that, you can check out this video up in the cards. But now let's jump into my 2022 flip through for quarter one. So I like to start my journaling, especially because I'm continuing it from an existing notebook, with a cover page to kind of divide it. So my cover page is just a very simple 2022 that I basically traced. I had these acetate pieces that I traced to get the nice even numbers. And then I did a little design in the back of them. And I used my metallic gouache from Arteza to basically do a little design inside of the numbers. And I thought that turned out really nicely. And then on this side, I actually designed this little vision board, if you will, for my 2022 intentions on Canva. And if you check out this book video, I show you how I do this on Canva as well. So Canva is a free tool that I love to use all the time. This is not sponsored by them in any ways. I just use it a ton. And so I designed this little intentions board with some photos of things that I want to do this year, like finish my third novel, journal even more this year, especially journaling about my feelings, which, as you're going to see in quarter one I did not do very well. And then we're also looking for a house. I'm trying to exercise more, go on more hikes, and travel. I am reading through the New Testament, and so these are the intentions that I set for the start of the year. And the nice thing about making this as a printable is I have a digital version that I also have on my laptop so that I always have access to it there as well when my journal is not open. And then here are some of my words of the year. I decided to go with a little theme of P words, words that start with P. So my words of the year were present, process, prioritize, and prayer. And I basically just did a little write-up for each of them about the definitions and a quote that uses the word, and it gets to the point of what this word means for me. And then I listed off a few bullet points for each of the words of things that I want to do related to that word. So just as an example, for present, I wrote, be present in the moment, observe and express gratitude. Focus on what you can control now, give the future to God. Practice presence in your body, mind, and soul. Do not give in to escapism. So those are some of my focuses for being more present and following through on that word of the year. I don't think I'm going to go into too much more detail on this page because I'm thinking that I will do a video halfway through the year, so after the second quarter, where I really share in depth these words of the year and my intentions for the year and look at how I've used them in my journaling to track my progress. So if you're interested in seeing me do that video, let me know down in the comments. But I don't want to spend too much time on it in this video. And this entry is one of the reasons why I think I want to do just a whole other video that is talking about kind of my intentions for the year and then doing a halfway through the year check-in and showing you how I do that here in my journal, because this entry is really focusing on what my intentions are for the year. And then I have different things that I identified at the beginning of the year to help me stick with that intention, but also give myself some grace along the way too. So I've set out what the ideal would look like by the end of the year, but also what it would look like if I just did the bare minimum for that intention. What is the first step I need to take in order to get started with it? And then the time required, the systems I need to have in place, and the rules that will help me get there, as well as ways to make it easy and ways to make it more enjoyable to do these things. And then I have a little check-in and progress section over here at the end of every quarter where I give myself a little rating of how I thought I did. Very arbitrary in terms of the rating system, but just giving myself a general sense of, did I do well at this? Was I just average? Is there ways that I can improve for the next quarter? So I will talk more about this in a future video and really walk you through what this looks like and how you could set up your own. And then this page relates to the others. It is the final page that I set up at the beginning of the year, and that is a habits and better practices page where I used some number washi to just list out 10 things that I want to develop better rhythms for and create better practices in my life, like going to bed earlier and rising earlier, drinking water before anything else in the morning, moving my body every day, making the bed in the morning, reading my Bible and praying deeply, talking to God, journaling how I feel. So there's lots of little habits to just make my life better for myself if I can implement these things. And so that is what this page covers. And I really love the little centerpiece here that I designed with just some washi tape and this little girl washi piece with then this backing, these little tulips. It just was a really cute little collage to act as the centerpiece for this page. And then this page here is blank because I'm thinking at the end of the year that I might use this as a little timeline of the year where I highlight major milestones throughout 2022. because this is the page that leads into my monthly highlights pages. And these are something that I set up in another video. I like to do this at the front of my journal for the year and have a page for every month of the year. So here you can see that my blank ones are already set up just with the month in the middle, and then I build out a page for each month just capturing the major highlights, the things that happened in my life, the things that have happened in the world, the books that I read, the movies we watched, photos of some really happy moments, and of little things as well, like just a meal that we ate and that I was proud of. So these really capture the month at a glance, and I cannot recommend doing this enough. I have a video where I show you how I did this for January, so I'll link that up in the cards. But if you are new to creative journaling and it feels overwhelming to you to do a page a day or even a page every week, I highly recommend trying to do monthly journaling where all you have to do is create 12 pages in the year, one for every month. You can sit down once the month is over and just reflect back on what were the highlights, what were the major things that happened, or just as you were going through the month, slowly build out the page. So maybe you finish a book and you want to just document that with a photo of the book cover. Maybe you go to a baby shower, so you mention that in here with just a little bit of hand lettering. Whatever it is, until your page is full of the memories from that month. These pages just make me so happy because it's amazing to see your life basically just exploded onto the page. This is my life. This is my year in 12 pages, and I think that's really, really special. So I think at the end of 2022, I will do an in-depth look at all 12 of these spreads together and really walk you through all of the little elements. So look forward to that. Make sure that you're subscribed so that you are here at the end of the year for all of that journaling fun. But here for now is just a quick glance at these entries. And this one I did include a little tip in with a photo underneath from a wedding that we went to. This is the program over the top. I document so many things on these pages. I can't wait to dive into them deeper with you. But like I said, for now, for the sake of time, we will just move on to our first entries for 2022. So this would be January. And I have here two of the first books that I read in January. So these are sort of my reading journal type spreads. And these ones are really rather simple because I just used a journaling card to back each of the book covers that I printed out using my Canon selfie. And then I have this great little sticker book. This is from Planners Anonymous, and it is a book themed sticker book that has tons of awesome stickers that have little quotes and book related themed things on them, as well as some great little journaling pieces as well. And so I used two of the journaling space stickers in which I wrote a favorite quote from each of these books that I read, and I also did a little star rating. So for Essentialism, I gave that one 5 stars. I took a lot of takeaways from this book, and it just was really impactful for me, not only in the meaningful quotes and the way that it was written, but the fact that it was dealing with a subject that I felt I really need in my life. I tend to be somebody who tries to do all the things rather than focusing on where I'm actually needed and can be of best service to myself and to the world. So I really, really recommend this book. It was great. And then the other book that I read was fiction, and that was The Island of Missing Trees. And this one was really wonderful too. The writing in it is exquisite, and it takes place in a war that I did not know a lot about, so it was really interesting to learn more about it. And one thing I really loved about this book is that some of the chapters are from the perspective of a fig tree, which sounds a little weird, and the first few chapters were hard for me to get through, but once I got into it, I really enjoyed the chapters from the perspective of the tree. I did give this one 4.5 stars because I felt like the other characters beyond the tree actually were not super likable or well developed necessarily. I didn't really connect with any of the characters, but I loved the storyline and I loved the writing, so I gave it 4.5. But these are the first two books that I read, and so it was a fun entry to put together to document those. And I do want to mention that if you like this particular sticker that says "Sleep is good, books are better," this is actually one of my printables from my Patreon page. I have a Patreon where I share exclusive printable stickers and exclusive videos, so if you're interested in checking out some of the stickers that I have over there, there are so many, I can't even tell you all of the different ones that are there, but there's ones for every season. There are ones that are reading related, like this one. And every month my patrons get to pick the theme for that month, and I design new ones. And then you also get access to all of the ones I've already created. So if you like this and want to see more of my stickers and get access to them to use in your own journal, definitely check out Patreon. I'll have it linked down below. This next entry is kind of a title page or an introduction to the next few entries, which are all about the same trip to New Hampshire. In January, Ben and I, with some of our friends, went to New Hampshire to climb Mount Washington, which is the highest peak in the Northeast. And so we have this great photo because we did, in fact, make it to the summit. It was a huge accomplishment for us. We tried last year and could not make it to the top because of this fact here, that the highest wind ever observed by man was recorded there, and the day that we went last year, unfortunately, was a day where the wind was just too strong and we weren't able to make it to the top. But this year, we had much better weather and we were so fortunate to have amazing views, which is really, really rare for this mountain. So I am just so abundantly grateful for this experience and having the memories documented here in my journal to look back on. I won't talk too much about the spread and how it came together because I have a journal with me here on my channel that you can check out. I'll have it linked up in the cards for you. And then because this entry was all photos, and I really wanted to make sure that I included all of these photos because they just were so wonderful and really captured the memories for me, I didn't want to leave any of them out. And of course, we had to include the sticker and the postcard that I picked up. So I decided that I would just have these pages dedicated to the photos and then would do my journaling on a subsequent entry. So here is that entry where I just used some washi tape. This was really fun. I just used some washi tape ripped up and layered together to create a little mountain peak. So that can be a fun little thing to play around with. And then this piece of, what is that, craft paper, I guess, with the little sparkly circles on it, is actually from a gift bag that I ripped apart and stuck here in my journal. I have a whole video here on my channel where I share with you different ideas for things that you can recycle and repurpose to use in your journaling, and gift wrap and gift bags are one of my favorite things to do. So journaling does not always have to be expensive and buying actual supplies. There's so many things you can repurpose for your journaling, and that is just one of them. If you want to learn more, check out this video up here. So I just added these elements for a little bit of visual interest, so it wasn't just straight text, but I also loved just changing up my spacing in my writing can give a lot of visual interest as well. Initially, I actually intended for them all to be spaced like this, where it was skipping every other line. Then I accidentally made a mistake by putting two lines together, so I decided to just do that whole paragraph together, and then I would do the next paragraph as spaced out, and then transition back and forth. But then I made a mistake over here again, and accidentally kept writing with no spaces for this next paragraph, and so it ended up getting a little wonky. I was going to have it every other, but I actually like the way that it turned out, and if I had done that level of spacing, I probably wouldn't have had room to say everything that I wanted to say. So it worked out doing the random spacing every few paragraphs, and I actually really like the visual effect that it gives. And of course, we did not get our fill of the cold on Mount Washington, so the next day after our climb, we went ice climbing in -9 degrees Fahrenheit weather. So I did a little stenciling of how cold, this cold, -9. And there's me all bundled up with nothing showing except my eyes. And then this sticker I got on my travels. I always love picking up stickers when I'm traveling. This is actually the cover of a card that somebody gave me that I just ripped off of the rest of the card and then used instead for my journaling, so that's something I always love to do as well. Down here I wrote out ice climb, and the -9 as well are with these alpha and number stencils that I got from Amazon. They are the brand Dovetails Vintage, but I will have these linked for you in the description. I talk about these in an Amazon haul video that I have here on my channel as well, but these stencils are amazing, especially if you're working in a slightly larger notebook like I am. And then I also turned this little journaling card that says, "Remember this," into a pocket, and I stuck this little business card from Empanada King. Empanada King, if you're not familiar with it, is exactly what it sounds like. It's kind of a fast food-ish restaurant that has empanadas, and we found it on our way home from this trip and all just fell in love with it after a long weekend of being out in the cold. It was very yummy to have some hot empanadas, and so I thought that was a fun little item to keep in here. I just realized when flipping to this page that I actually don't have the date on here, I don't think, so I'm gonna need to rectify that after I'm done filming this video. But this here is a weekend again. As you're gonna notice with my journaling for this year so far, it mostly is weekends because that typically, I think for most of us, is when our main highlights in our life happen. It's when we hang out with the people we love. It's when we go on trips and day trips and go eat out and those sorts of things. It's a little sad to say that because the other 5 days are important too, and that's one of the reasons I love daily journaling, is because it helps you to capture the little moments that happen all throughout the week. But right now, in this particular season in my life, I am focusing on just documenting the highlights, and that does typically mean primarily documenting my weekends. This was Valentine's Day weekend, I think, and we got together with my best friends from high school in DC. We were visiting my one friend who has a new house there, and we got to tour around the DC area and just had an amazing time. So these are some of the photos from our time together. I used some different stickers that I got from obujo.com. I have that linked in the description if you're interested. I have a coupon code for them, and I highly, highly recommend their stuff. I actually have a haul video coming very, very soon of some new stuff from Obujo that I can't wait to share with you. But that's where these stickers are from. And then I just created little boxes using a marker to do my journaling in. And then I have a tip bin where when you flip it up, you have a little collage of a great dinner that we had. We went to this place called Gyuso, Japanese barbecue, and had the most amazing meal that I've had in a long time. It was so good. And then this little tag here, I have in a pocket, and just on the back have bubble tea, because we stopped at a bubble tea place where they have a cup where you can have it half and half, so you can try 2 different types of bubble tea at one time. It was amazing, and I want to go back as soon as possible. So that is this entry, and I do want to mention too that if you like the look of this entry and want to see how it comes together, this is one of the exclusive videos over on my Patreon page. And something fun about my Journal With Me's over on Patreon is that the vast majority of them are chatty Journal With Me's. So they have more of a live stream feel where I'm kind of walking you through my process as I'm thinking it through. So they tend to be longer, like 40 minutes long. I think this one was of me really figuring out how I wanted to lay everything out and thinking through what stickers and elements I wanted to use, and you really get a deep dive into my process. So if you want to see this page come to life, you can check out my exclusive video over on Patreon. And I think I have an archive of about 50 videos, yes, 50 videos over on Patreon right now. So there's a lot of binge-worthy content over there if you are looking for more after YouTube. It's kind of funny when you're capturing the highlights because it looks like my entire winter is just going out and climbing frozen waterfalls and mountains. It's not the case. It just so happens that those are many of my main highlights from this last winter. So here again is an ice climbing trip. This is something Ben and I love to do with our friends in the winter, is go find frozen waterfalls to climb. So here is a nice little collage where I actually cut out all of the little photos that I printed out on my Canon selfie instead of leaving them together as one big collage. That way I could spread them out more on the page, and I really love the way that this turned out. I also have this gorgeous glittery washi tape at the top of the page. I unfortunately got this at a scrapbooking show, so I don't have a link for it, but it is so pretty. And these here are, again, stickers from my Patreon. These are just little snowflake stickers that I designed that are available over there as part of one of the December or November sets leading up to Christmas. And more recently, I've been printing out my printable stickers on this sticker paper from Mako. It is the jam-free labels that are matte clear. And so I've really been loving the matte clear because it just totally blends right into the back of your page and makes it almost look like it is part of the page design itself. It doesn't look as much like it's a sticker stuck on the page. So I've really been loving that sticker paper. And then you also might notice that this photo that I printed out with a little snowflake border around it. That's something fun that you can do with the Pic Collage app that I use when printing out photos for my journal. I don't do it all the time, but every now and then I think it's fun to put a border around your photo. So I did that for this one. And if you want to learn more about printing out photos in general, how I do it for these tiny photos, how I use Pic Collage to put on borders and words and things like that, I have a video on that as well. I will link it up in the cards if I have enough links still left to do, or I'll put it down in the description box. And then one last thing that I think is a nice touch when doing a title for a page or just a little phrase that you could really easily do in your own journal is to cut out little rectangles for each of the words. I like to use sticker paper, though you could certainly do it with just regular paper and glue it down. And then I just did a messy little border around each of the pieces and did my word inside of it. And as you can see, I kind of varied the spacing so that it has this cascading effect like a waterfall would. And I just thought that made for a really nice title and is such an easy thing that anybody could do. And then of course, I once again have a little sticker that I picked up when doing our traveling. And then this next entry is a continuation of that trip where I actually again do the journaling, talking about the entire trip, and use some stickers. And then this piece is really fun because it's actually the front of a coaster. They are the disposable coasters that they give you at some restaurants where it's kind of made of cardboard and then has a sticker of their brand stuck to the front of it. So I just very carefully peeled off the front of the coaster, and then I was able to stick that into my journal. So there again is another thing that you can be using in your journal for completely free. You just have to be looking for those things, especially when you are traveling and going out. Look for those napkins, those brochures, maps, even coasters. Anything can be repurposed and reused in your journal if you can find a way to make it nice and flat. So that is my entry for this trip where we went to climb the frozen waterfalls. And then here is something a little bit sad that you might notice. This was February 24th to the 27th. And so this is the 27th. And then here, my next entry is for April 2nd. So that means I did not do any highlights documenting in this way for the month of March. March was a little bit of a harder month for me because it was my birthday month. It was also one of my busier months for work because it's when our board of trustees comes to the college, and it just was a hard time. So I didn't do any highlights journaling in here for the month of March, but as a reminder, that is why I absolutely love doing these monthly highlight pages, because even though I don't have any of these memories captured in full form journaling, I still have a way to look back on them and have a sense of what that month was like, what was I up to. The fact that we went to this wedding is still documented, even though I don't have a whole entry and page devoted to it. So again, I really recommend doing this type of journaling in addition to journaling like this, especially if you're not able to do daily journaling, because it allows you to capture those memories regardless of whether or not you're able to do these bigger spreads, but also gives you the room to have those bigger spreads when you want to dive even deeper into explaining that memory and really recording it well. So because I didn't do anything for March, that is actually going to be the end of this flip through. I only did a few entries really for the first quarter of the year. This is all of them here, just those few highlights. And then of course my monthly review pages at the front as well. So let that be an encouragement to you, friends, that you do not have to be journaling every day. You do not have to be having full journals at the end of every month. You can journal at your own pace and just take your time with it and do what is right for you in this season. Regardless of how often you are journaling, I hope that this flip through has inspired you to get into your journal and document those memories, express your feelings more. I know that is something I personally am going to be trying to work on more in this next quarter, is using my journal as a place for reflection, not only documentation. You guys know, if you saw my journal goals video at the start of the year, that that's something I'm really trying to work on, though you wouldn't know it by the fact that I haven't really been doing it yet in my journaling, in large part because it's hard. It's really hard to go there and engage with your emotions, especially when you're grieving. This is a page that I started to do to have a space to reflect on my grief, and as you can see, it is currently blank. I haven't yet allowed myself to go there, and that's something I personally will be working on in my journaling moving forward. Let me know down in the comments, what is something you hope to be doing in this next season within your journal? What is a goal of yours? And please, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a big thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. I would also love for you to consider checking out Patreon if that is something that interests you. And please do subscribe and join the Abiding fam. We would love to have you in the community. Click the notification bell so you get notified when other videos come out. And until then, keep exploring your abiding creativity and document a life abiding in faith, hope, and love.